I left off. That 15. That's what I thought I was at. Alright, for those that don't know, I just go over the top laws that we kind of situated. We went over baldness. Alright, that if you're going bald, that is clean according to the Bible. Alright, we went over if you're going bald, that is clean unto the Bible. We went over Leviticus 11 and 35, showing you that if you cook unclean foods on pots and pans, you don't have to throw them away because we now have a temple. I mean, we no longer have a temple because we no longer have a temple. We went into 1 Timothy chapter 4 and 5, going into all food is good if it's cleansed by the word of God. Then we went to Leviticus 11. We went into the day of circumcision. We went to how many days you are to be set apart from your wife after a male child and a female child is born, which is the male child is 40 days, female child 80 days. So that's what we went over last week, the key points. All right, so now we're going to pick up Leviticus chapter 15 and verse 1. You can scribe for me. Well, I just pick up, make sure y'all follow along. Leviticus 15 and 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When any man have a running issue out of his flesh, because of his issue he is unclean. And this shall be his uncleanness in his issue, whether his flesh run with his issue, or his flesh be stopped from his issue, it is his uncleanness. Every bed whereon he lieth that hath the issue is unclean, and everything whereon he sitteth shall be unclean. And whosoever touches his bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself. What was that? Yeah, verse 5. And whoso touches his bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean unto the evening. That sit upon anything whereon he sat that hath the issue shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean unto the evening. He that toucheth the flesh of him that hath the issue shall wash his clothes. And bathe himself in water, and be unclean unto the evening. And if he that hath the issue spit upon him that is clean, then he shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unto the evening. And what saddle soever he rideth upon that hath the issue shall be unclean. And whosoever toucheth anything that was under him shall be unclean unto the evening. And he that beareth any of those things shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean unto the evening. And whomsoever he toucheth that hath the issue, and have not rinsed his hands in water, he shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean unto the evening. And the vessel of earth that he toucheth, which hath the issue, shall be broken, and every vessel of wood shall be rinsed in water. And he that hath an issue, cleansed of his issue, and he shall number himself 7 days for his cleansing, and wash his clothes, and bathe his flesh in running water, and shall be clean. And on the 8th day he shall take to him turtle doves and 2 young pigeons, and come before the Lord unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer them, one for a sin offering, the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him before his issue. Hold on, I want to make sure I got this correct about this issue. Alright, so it's going through all the measures we would take. Somebody had a bodily discharge. Alright, bodily discharge. Let's see. This is if you have, when it's going into the issue, this is going into like if you got an STD. Alright, for an example. If you got an STD and it's not normal stuff that's coming out of your penis. Alright. For instance, I know growing up, they say one of the dudes when he would use the restroom, it would be green. It would be green or something like that. So if those types of things were going on, all right. All right, so let's pick up at 16. Let's pick up at verse 16. It says, and if any man's seed of copulation go out from him. What is that talking about? The seed of copulation. Right, sperm. Alright, so this is talking about sperm. It says, and any man's seed of compilation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water, and be unclean until the evening. And every garment and every skin whereon is the seed of copulation shall be washed with water, and be unclean until the evening. Alright, so if this man's seed of copulation, obviously he was having sex. Alright, it says every garment and every skin whereon the seed of copulation falls on is going to be unclean. So how could a man's seed get on different garments or different flesh? What was taking place for that to happen? Alright, Deacon, I thought I would go over this. What was taking place if a man's seed was getting on different garments and on skin, and it was getting all over the place? What was going on? Alright, showing you that our forefathers would pull out. Alright, they would pull out. That was our source of birth control. We didn't have abortions. Alright, didn't wear condoms at this time. We would pull out. Alright, we would pull out. Also letting you know, if you're a married brother, alright, says wherever that seed goes, those blankets or whatnot will become unclean. So if you have sex with your wife, alright, your seed of copulation goes out on those blankets, you need to wash those blankets. Alright, you need to wash those blankets. Okay, verse 18. Verse 18. It says, the woman also with whom shall lie with the seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water and be unclean until the evening. Alright, so likewise, after you get done, the Bible says to take a shower. Alright, take a shower or bath, whichever you prefer, but that's what should take place after you have sex. Verse 19, and if a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days. Alright, so what is this issue of blood? What's that going into? Alright, the period. Let's say if a woman have an issue and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days. Alright, so as soon as your wife's menstrual period starts, alright, you number 7 days. You number 7 days. It says she shall be put apart 7 days. And whosoever toucheth her shall be unclean unto the evening. Now what does it mean when it says they shall be unclean unto the evening? So, can you lie with your woman when she is on her period? No, you cannot have sex with your wife while she is on her period. Alright, Leviticus 18 and 19. I know you say hell no, but people coming out of the world, a lot of different things we are taught here in Babylon, so different people do different things. All right. Leviticus 18 and verse 19. It says, also, thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness, as long as she is put apart for her uncleanness. So that's letting you know, while your wife is put apart for her uncleanness, no sexual action is to be taking place. Alright? No sexual action is to be taking place. Alright, Leviticus 15 and 19 again. It says, and if a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days, and whosoever toucheth her shall be unclean unto the evening. And everything that she lieth upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything that she sitteth upon shall be unclean. And whosoever toucheth her bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean unto the evening. So, during a woman's period, alright, says she unclean, everything she touch, everywhere she sits is unclean. Can you lay in the same bed as your wife? You say no. Yes. Want to give it a shot? Say no. Yes. All right. So, think about the pots and the pans, all right? Think about the pots and the pans. Why don't we have to throw away our pots and our pans anymore? Nobody know why don't we throw away, okay, we went over it last week, and I just went over it at the beginning of class. Why don't we throw away our pots and our pans that had, there you go, good. Animal sacrifice is done away. We don't have any temple any longer. We don't have a temple anymore. So why would the woman put away throughout this time period? What would they consider for those whole 7 days? These women that had that period, what would they consider? They were unclean, right? And they had to be put apart. Now the part about the sexual part, that still stands. That still stands. You can't deal with it because the same thing's still taking place. That's just cleanliness. All right, because we understand you still get infections and other stuff take place. But the part about them being unclean and everything they sit on is unclean. Jump down to verse 31. Jump down to verse 31. This is the reason why they were unclean and everything was unclean. Verse 31. It says, thus shall you separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, that they die not in their uncleanness, when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. So the tabernacle was in the midst of the Israelites. That's why everybody that was unclean, everybody that was not perfect, they had to be put out. They had to be separated because if anything was not holy, was around that temple or that tabernacle, death was coming. Y'all understand it? Makes sense? All right, now let's jump back. Leviticus 15:20. And everything which lieth upon in her lieth upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that sitteth upon shall be unclean. Verse 21. And whosoever toucheth her bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean unto the even. Verse 22. And whoso toucheth anything that she sat upon shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean unto the even. And if it be on her bed or on anything whereupon she sitteth, when he toucheth it, he shall be unclean unto the even. And if any man lie with her at all, and her flowers be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days, and all the bed whereon he lieth shall be unclean. And if a woman have an issue of her blood, many days out of the time of her separation. So if a woman have an issue of her blood out of the time of her separation, what's that talking about? Who can understand that? Put that in layman's terms. There you go. Brother Rashad hit it. Brother Rashad hit it. He said past her period, more than 7 days. Good. That's all it's saying. Alright, so this is the sister that had her period longer than those 7 days. It says if a woman have an issue of her blood many days out of the time of her separation, or if it run beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the days of her separation. So, say it's 1 day after. Say her period is on 1 day after that 7th day. How many days do you wait before you can lay down with that sister? Why y'all saying 8 days? Okay, good. Alright, so it says, read it again, Leviticus 25. It says, and if a woman have an issue of her blood many days out the time of her separation, or if it run beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the days of her separation. So if it's as the days of her separation, how many days do you normally wait? 7 days. Alright, so as soon as it stops, you wait 7 more days from when it stops. Alright, everybody understand that? But it says you wait as the days of her separation. Alright. So Can sisters come to the school on the Sabbath day if their period is on? There you go. Sister Pam is getting it. We just went over it. We just went over it. We no longer have a temple. We no longer have a temple, so they're not set apart for their uncleanness. So what example do we have? What example do we have showing us? Well, Christ gave us an example of how to deal with the woman that's diseased. All right, they go to Mark chapter 5 and verse 24. Good, the woman with the issue of blood. Mark chapter 5 and verse 24. Mark chapter 5 and verse 24. And Jesus went with him, and much people followed him and thronged him. And a certain woman, which had an issue of blood 12 years. So this woman had been constantly having issues with her menstrual for 12 years. I'm at Mark chapter 5, verse 26. And had suffered many things of many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was nothing better, but rather grew worse. When she had heard of Jesus, came in the press behind, and touched his garment. So this woman that was unclean came and touched Christ. For she said, If I may touch but his clothes, I shall be whole. And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that virtue had gone out of him, turned him about in the press, and said, Who touched my clothes? And his disciples said unto him, Thou seest the multitude thronging thee, and sayest thou, Who touched me? And looked round about to see her that had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what was done in her, came and fell down before him, and told him the truth. And he said unto her, Daughter, thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace, and be whole of thy plague. So, that this woman was healed, she was healed. Christ didn't say, Woman, why you touching me, and you unclean? Alright? So Christ is the new temple that you read about in Hebrews. So if he allowed her to be healed on the Sabbath day, then the sisters can come now. Alright, because yes, the same thing is taking place. We are giving our people healing inside of these different schools across the state. Alright, but that's the example that he healed that woman. Alright, Leviticus 15 and verse 26. Leviticus 15 and verse 26. Leviticus chapter 15 and verse 26. Every bed whereon she lieth all the days of her issue shall be unto her as the bed of her separation. And whatsoever she sitteth upon shall be unclean as the uncleanness of her separation. And whosoever toucheth those things shall be unclean, and shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean unto the evening. But if she be cleansed of her issue, then she shall number to herself 7 days, and after that she shall be clean. So there you go again. That's what it is. At once she's cleansed of this issue, meaning it stops, and you number 7 days, and that's when she's clean. Verse 29. And on the 8th day she shall take unto her 2 turtles or 2 young pigeons, and bring them unto the priest to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for her before the Lord for the issue of her uncleanness. Thus shall ye separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, that they die not in their uncleanness, when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. This is the law of him that have an issue, or of him whose seed goeth from him, and is defiled therewith, and of her that is sick of her flowers, and of him that have an issue, of the man and of the woman, and of him that lieth with her that is unclean. Alright, so the Most High has laws on everything. The Most High has laws on everything. Every walk of life, he had it written down. Leviticus 16 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron, when they offered before the Lord and died. And the Lord said unto Moses, Speak unto Aaron thy brother, that he come not at all times into the holy place, within the veil before the mercy seat, which is upon the ark, that he die not. For I will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat. Alright, so Moses telling Aaron, when the Most High is telling Moses to tell Aaron when he should come into the veil. Alright, into the veil, the holiest of holies. Verse 3. Thus shall Aaron come into the holy place with a young bullock for a sin offering, and a ram for a burnt offering. He shall put on the holy linen coat. He shall have the linen breeches upon his flesh, and he shall gird it with a linen girdle, and with a linen mitre shall he be attired. These are holy garments. Therefore shall he wash his flesh in water, and so put them on. And he shall take of the congregation of the children of Israel 2 kids of the goat for a sin offering, and 1 ram for a burnt offering. And Aaron shall offer the bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself, and make an atonement for himself and his house. And he shall take the 2 goats, and present them before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron shall cast lots upon the 2 goats, 1 lot for the Lord, and the other lot for the scapegoat. And Aaron shall bring the goat upon which the Lord's lot fell, and offer him for a sin offering. But the goat on which the lot fell to be the scapegoat shall be presented alive before the Lord, to make an atonement with him, and to let him go for a scapegoat into the wilderness. And Aaron shall bring the bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself, and shall make an atonement for himself and for his house, and shall kill the bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself. And he shall take a censer full of burning coals of fire from off the altar before the Lord, and his hand full of sweet incense beaten small, and bring it within the veil. And he shall put the incense before the Lord, that the cloud of the incense may cover the mercy seat that is upon the testimony, that he die not. Verse 14. And he shall take of the blood of the bullock, and sprinkle it with his finger upon the mercy seat eastward. And before the mercy seat he shall sprinkle of the blood with his finger 7 times. Then shall he kill the goat of the sin offering that is for the people, and bring his blood within the veil, and do with that blood as he did with the blood of the bullock, and sprinkle it upon the mercy seat, and before the mercy seat. And he shall make an atonement for the holy place, because of the uncleanness of the children of Israel, and because of their transgressions in all their sins. And so shall he do for the tabernacle of the congregation, that remaineth among them in the midst of their uncleanness. So now he's going into the atonement. My bad. Can y'all hear me better now? He's going into that atonement that was made for the whole nation. All right, the Day of Atonement, and how and what exactly was sacrificed. All right. So what was I at? Verse 16. Verse 16. And he shall make an atonement for the holy place because of the uncleanness of the children of Israel, and because of their transgressions and all their sins. And so shall he do for the tabernacle of the congregation that remaineth among them in the midst of their uncleanness. And there shall no man in the tabernacle of the congregation, when he goeth in to make an atonement in the holy place, until he come out, have made an atonement for himself, and for his household, and for all the congregation of Israel. And he shall go out unto the altar that is before the Lord, and make an atonement for him, and shall take of the blood of the bullock, and of the blood of the goat, and put it upon the horns of the altar round about. And he shall sprinkle of the blood upon it with his finger 7 times, and cleanse it, and hallow it from the uncleanness of the children of Israel. And when he have made an end of reconciling and the holy place, and the tabernacle of the congregation, and the altar, he shall bring the live goat. So, now we see that reconciliation, alright? The reason why we had to do this was to reconcile ourselves with the Most High. Who is this reconciliation with? The nation of Israel, those that were unclean amongst the nation of Israel. That's why Christ is not for everybody. Because what is Christ today? What is Christ for the nation of Israel today? He is our sacrifice. He is our lamb. Alright? So how can he be reconciliation with a group of people that was never in an agreement with the Most High in the first place? Alright, verse 21. And Aaron shall lay both his hands upon the head of the live goat, and confess over him all the iniquities of the children of Israel, and all their transgressions, and all their sins, putting them upon the head of the goat, and shall send him away by the hand of a fit man into the wilderness. So the scapegoat. Alright, the scapegoat. That's why, what do they say today? If somebody was a scapegoat, you put all the blame on them. Alright, you will put all the blame onto that person. If somebody's a scapegoat, you put all the blame on it. Oh, it was his fault. That's the scapegoat. That's where they get that word from. Alright? Because during this time, we will put all our sins, we will confess all our sins onto this goat, and we will release it into the wilderness. Alright, we will release it into the wilderness. Verse 22. And the goat shall bear upon him all their iniquity unto a land not inhabited. And he shall let go the goat in the wilderness. And Aaron shall come into the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall put off the linen garments which he put on when he went into the holy place, and shall leave them there. And he shall wash his flesh with water in the holy place, and put on his garments, and come forth and offer his burnt offering, and the burnt offering of the people, and make an atonement for himself and for the people. Verse 25, and the fat of the sin offering shall he burn upon the altar. Why was he burning? Why was he burning the fat? Why was he burning the fat? Somebody tell me, why did he burn the fat? There you go. Good, good, good. Soldier Nehemiah hit it. The fat was for the Lord. Alright, the fat was for the Lord. We went over this last week. We went over it. Yeah, we did go over last week. That's all. whole bunch of day lessons. The fat is for the Lord. All right, verse 26. And he that let go the goat for the scapegoat shall wash his clothes and bathe his flesh in water, and afterward come into the camp. And the bullock for the sin offering, and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood was brought in to make atonement in the holy place, shall one carry forth without the camp. And they shall burn in the fire their skins and their flesh and their dung. And he that burneth them shall wash his clothes and bathe his flesh in water. Afterward he shall come into the camp. And this shall be a statute forever, that in the 7th month, on the 10th day, ye shall afflict your souls, and do no work, whether it be one of your own country or a stranger that sojourneth among you. So, what does it mean to afflict your soul? What does it mean to afflict your soul? And like I told you, this is going to the Day of Atonement. This is going into the Day of Atonement. What does it mean to afflict your soul? All right, to fast. All right, because when you're fasting, you're depriving yourself of food. All right. So the Most High said, when you don't eat, you are afflicting your soul. You are afflicting your soul. All right. Go to Isaiah 58 and verse 5. Isaiah 58 and verse 5. Just make sure we got it. Isaiah 58 and verse 5. It says, is it such a fast that I have chosen, a day for a man to afflict his soul? So, it says, is it such a fast I have chosen, a day for a man to afflict his soul? So it's letting you know, on a fast, you're supposed to afflict your soul. Now, who can tell me, how do you properly fast according to the Bible? Not Christianity, but the Bible. How do you properly fast? Can you brush your teeth? So I can't eat fruits when I'm fasting? Good. All right, let's make sure we got the scripture. Everybody knows it. That's good. Let's get the scripture. Let's go to Jonah, chapter 3. Let's read verse 5 first. Jonah chapter 3 and verse 5. You'll be surprised. When I came into the truth, did not know that's how you're supposed to fast. Christianity is bad, man. It's bad for our people. They don't teach you nothing. I thought it was, I don't fast so many days back in the world, and I thought fasting was just drinking water. Thought that was fasting. Jonah chapter 3 and verse 5. So the people of Nineveh believed God and proclaimed a fast and put on sackcloth from the greatest of them even to the least of them. So, it's another question. Do we have to put on sackcloth? Do we have to put on sackcloth when we fast? All right. What was the sackcloth? What was the sackcloth representative of? All right. It was all symbolic. It was all symbolic. We would put on sackcloth. We would scream out from the Most High, tearing our garment. All that stuff was just, it was a show. It was a show. That's why the Most High says, to rend your hearts, not your garment. To rend your heart, not your garment. All right. Also, the reason why we know we don't wear sackcloth today is because in Matthew 6, Matthew chapter 6, he tells you how he wants you to look when you're fasting. He says, wash yourself, anoint yourself, make sure you look just like any other day. So there's no special garment you should be wearing when you fast. And nobody should know you fast. But back then, we know we would put on the sackcloth and all that good stuff. All right, but Matthew chapter 3 and verse 7. It says, and he caused it to be proclaimed and published through Nineveh by the decree of the king and his nobles, saying, let neither man nor beast, herd nor flock, taste anything. Let them not feed nor drink water. Alright, let them not feed nor drink water. So nothing, like y'all said, nothing is to touch your mouth when you are fasting. Alright, let's go back to Leviticus. Finish the chapter out. Chapter 16 and verse 29. And it says, and this shall be a statute forever, that in the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, you shall afflict your souls and do no work at all, whether it be one of your own country or a stranger that sojourneth among you. So, what does that mean, a stranger? That's talking about another nation? What is that talking about? And it says a stranger from another nation. It says talking about the ones that came with us. So Leviticus chapter 25 and verse 35. Leviticus 25 and verse 35. Leviticus chapter 25 and verse 35. It says, and if thy brother be waxing poor and fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him. Yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee. So it's talking about your brother that was poor, waxing poor. Alright? The brother that was waxing poor. Because remember, the Day of Atonement was for the Israelites. Alright, for the Israelites. Verse 30. Verse 30. For on that day shall the priest make an atonement for you, to cleanse you, that ye may be clean from all your sins. It shall be a Sabbath of rest unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls by a statute forever. And the priest whom he shall anoint, and whom shall consecrate to minister in the priest's office in his father's stead, shall make the atonement, and shall put on the linen clothes, even the holy garment. And he shall make an atonement for the holy sanctuary. And he shall make an atonement for the tabernacle of the congregation, and for the altar. And he shall make an atonement for the priest, and for all the people of the congregation. And this shall be an everlasting statute unto you, to make an atonement for the children of Israel, for all their sins once a year, as he did as the Lord commanded. And he did as the Lord commanded Moses. So, that's how we get the Day of Atonement. That's how we get the Day of Atonement, and that's how it was kept. Now, we know when Christ came, alright, we still keep the Day of Atonement. We still fast and atone for our sins. But Christ, ultimately, he was that atonement. He was that atonement that we needed. We went over this last week. Which one do I want to go to next week? Let's go to Hebrews chapter 9. Let's read Hebrews 9. Let's just read down so we get some understanding. Alright, Hebrews 9 and 1. It says, Then verily the first covenant had also ordinances of divine service and a worldly sanctuary. For there was a tabernacle made, the first, wherein was the candlestick and the table and the showbread, which is called the sanctuary. And after the second veil, the tabernacle, which is called the holiest of all. So that's what we were just reading about, the holiest of all. That's where Aaron would go on the Day of Atonement. Yet he didn't go in there except for one day. It said, which had the golden censer and the ark of the covenant overlaid round about with gold, wherein was the golden pot that had manna, and Aaron's rod that budded, and the tables of the covenant, and over it the cherubims of glory shadowing the mercy seat, of which we cannot now speak particularly. And now when these things were thus ordained, the priest went always into the first tabernacle, accomplishing the service of God, accomplishing the sacrifice. But into the second went the high priest alone, once every year, not without blood, which he offered for himself and for the heirs of the people. That's what we just read about on the Day of Atonement. He had to have an offering for himself and for the people. Verse 8, the Holy Ghost, this signified that the way into the holiest of all was not yet made manifest, while as the first tabernacle was yet standing, which was a figure for the time then present, in which were offered both gifts and sacrifices, that could not make him that did the service perfect as pertaining to the conscience. Because when we did this, you were making atonement for the sins of the people, but you yourself were in sin, so it couldn't make you perfect. Verse 10, which stood only in meats, in drinks, in divers washings, in carnal ordinances, imposed on them unto the time of reformation, time of change, alright, which was when Christ died on the cross. Verse 11, but Christ being come an high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building. So Christ is our tabernacle today. Alright. Verse 12. Neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood. This is what I wanted. He entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. For if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of a heifer, sprinkling the unclean, sanctified the purifier of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge yourself, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God. So, because Christ sacrificed himself perfect and whole, alright, we no longer need the blood of bulls and of goats. We no longer need, well, we have a high priest, which is Christ. Alright, so that's why we no longer do the sacrificial law the way we used to, because Christ fulfilled the law of sacrifice. Alright, he took that out. He changed that. He changed that. Like the scripture said, the time of reformation was when Christ came. The Most High said, no longer does he want the blood of bulls and of goats. All right, so any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Next week class might be canceled. Be in Jamaica, so class might be canceled. Unless I can find somebody to teach for me. Not too many people want to teach. Such things that are hallowed. When you're unclean, Leviticus 15 and 31. It depends on what it is. It depends on what it is. If it's like pus coming out of the white spots, or that's just how your melanin is on your skin. It depends. All praise. Flame, that's fine. Is the Bible considered hallowed? Yes, this is a set apart book. Isaiah 34 and 16 tell you that. It says, seek ye out the book of the Lord. It says, none shall want her mate. None shall want her mate. Psalms 50? Yep. All right, Psalms chapter 50 and verse 7. Psalm 50 and 7. It says, hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel, and I will testify against thee. I am even thy God. I will not reprove thee for thy sacrifices or thy burnt offering, to have been continually before me. I will take no bullock out of thy house, nor he goats out of thy fold. Every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills. I know all the fowls of the mountain, and the wild beasts of the field are mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell thee, for the world is mine and the fullness thereof. Will I eat the flesh of bulls, or drink the blood of goats? Offer unto God thanksgiving, and pay thy vows unto the Most High. So the Most High he was basically calling to the children of Israel. He's basically saying he wanted them to commit a change on the inside. Because like I told you, the law of sacrifice, it became flawed. People never examined the sins that they were in. They would just do the sacrifice thinking that was good enough. They never actually changed their ways. It became a corrupt system. For example, if I knew I was going to commit a certain sin, I would look in the law. I would say, okay, I'm gonna need a turtle dove. I'm gonna need a heifer or a goat, and I would commit the sin, bring the sacrifice, and there was no sincereness in it. There wasn't any sincerity in that. So that's why the Most High was saying, do I need these sacrifices so I can eat? He's like, I own all of this. I own all of this. All right, that's what he was saying. But it was future. It was prophecy of what was to come with Christ. How he changed the system. Because the law of sacrifice didn't please him anymore. It makes sense, Brother Benjamin? Right. I was reading that because a lot of non-Messianic Israelites use that scripture. to say they do not believe in Christ. Or they would be cutting themselves in. No, no, sister. They can still read the Bible. Like I told you. With Christ healing the woman, that showed you that it's fine. It's fine. All right, what's your question, Sister Valerie? Ooh. Right. Yep. Perfect example, brother Michael Dix. It's a sin to be a notary public. No, that is not sin. All right. What is sin, Sister Valerie? Sin is the transgression of God's law, so it's not a sin. Right, right. So, what law are you breaking? You're not breaking any laws. All right. Any further questions? Any further questions? Sin to be a boxer? Mm, Brown. Fine, sis. All of us are participating in world systems. The scripture in Sirach 38 and I think it's 34, it says that we all of us are maintaining this world. So all of us in some way, shape, and form are participating. But it shouldn't be a world. It shouldn't be a world. All right. For example, I'm a school teacher. I teach these kids. So guess what? I maintain the state of this world. Likewise, you're a notary public. You maintain the state of this world. But by you keeping the commandments, now voting, that's different. Voting, that's sin. That's sin. Because now you fall yourself, uh, uh, then you are in tune with what's going on. All right, you are in tune with what's going on. It is sin to vote. The Christian church, Sister Elaine, yeah, you helping keeping our people asleep. But if you're doing that for a job and you able to not get out the spirit or whatnot, it's a job. It's a job. That's your job. That's your job. I think somebody done that before. They did the music. I know most musicians, when they come into the truth, a lot of them stop doing it. But if you got a strong enough spirit where it don't bother you, not a job, just doing it in a Christian church, don't do that. Brother Rashad, were you on class earlier today? Don't do it, Sister Lane. Okay. No, it's not sin. No, it's not sin, Brother Rashad. According to Leviticus chapter 15, and 19. Of course, you gotta be married. You ain't pulling out with a woman that you're not married to. Leviticus chapter 15, my bad, and verse 16 and 17. Leviticus 15, verses 16 and 17. Because it shows you that the seed of compilation was going on different garments and on different skin. All right, showing you that our forefathers were pulling out. Sister Leah, if I fast until someone comes into the truth, is that going against the will of God, like one day a week? No, it's not. It's not, Sister Leah. But if they continue to be rebellious and their spirit sealed, you're wasting your time. But only you know. All right, family, let me stop there. Shalom, Most High in Christ bless. Pray you all have a good day. Have a good Sabbath. If I don't see you again, shalom.